Okay. The call-in number on Zoom.
Oh, that she can use.
Yeah. All right, calling the meeting to order at 7:01. Minutes of last meeting, do we have, any adjustments, edits, deletions, additions to the meeting minutes?
Make a motion, we accept it.
We have a motion and second. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Who seconded that? Sorry. Okay, so all in favor? Moving along, we have a, audience of citizens.
Yes.
And do we have a guest? Who's our guest? No, you're the audience as well. Doesn't matter. We do have Chick Shippen here who's asked to speak to the board, so Chick, state your name, full name and address, please.
Chick Shippen, 3 Sunny Slopes Road, Columbia, Connecticut.
All right, take it away.
And if you forgive me, I'm gonna read, my speaking isn't as good as it used to be. And I'm gonna sit because my back is hurting, if that's okay with you guys, but just a couple of us. Thank you for allowing me your time to talk about a little bit about the historic water level management of Columbia Lake. That's the only thing I wanted to touch base on a little bit.
Yeah.
That maybe I can bring a little bit of clarity to something people aren't aware of, and a few comments I'd like to make on your current guidance. In the early years up to the 60s to 70s, the original gatekeepers were lakefront property owners who volunteered their time to manage the dam with no set of guidelines. In those days, sometimes the lake overflowed its bounds during major weather events, and sometimes it was handled efficiently. As time went on, experience trained those volunteer gatekeepers to better manage the gate during those events. They learned what to try to stay ahead of things a little bit. Upon the institution of lake management, which by the way was instituted in 1975, more definitive guidelines were established for volunteer gatekeepers, and they were approved by the Board of Selectmen at that time. In 1992, it was determined that due to potential liability issues, the chief gatekeeper would be a town employee, the director of public works, and assistant gatekeepers would be appointed to work in conjunction with the chief gatekeeper. However, for the most part, gate decisions were made by the assistant gatekeeper, who typically was someone who lived on the lake, was able to watch the water level and adjust the gate in a timely fashion as needed during events. Standard guidelines were adopted, but flexibility was allowed to the gatekeeper based on the actual observations of the lake. So the director of public works would say, yeah, we gotta open the dam, because we got an event coming. They would consult and get approval for that. But the gatekeeper would manage how the water went throughout the event to try to handle it better than somebody who was a town employee or not living on the lake to see what might be going on. Standard guidelines were adopted, but like again, flexibility was allowed, so the gatekeeper could make calls as to what he saw as the storm was going. Prior to any storm and during the course of the year, the lake level typically used to be maintained at spillway height or plus 2 inches. That's kind of where the gatekeepers that I remember and worked with and knew kept the level of the water in the lake throughout the year.
What was that again?
Lake level to plus 2 inches. So you let some water go over the top of the dam. But if it got much higher than that, then the dam would be adjusted so that it would come down a little bit. With imminent and significant rainfall predicted, the lake level would be lowered ahead of time to spillway or -2 to -6 inches. That's how I handled it when I was gatekeeper. That's how the gatekeepers taught me how to handle it prior to me doing it. So if they had projected water to come, the big storm coming, we would go make sure we were at least at spillway. If not, it was a big storm, maybe we'd get 2 inches below or 4 inches below a day or two before the event occurred. During an event, the lake level would be observed and measured every 6 to 12 hours. I mean, can't tell you how many times I was out there with a umbrella or rain hat on in the middle of the storm. Go take the measurement on the side of the dam, see where it is and make some adjustments. It depended the significance of the event. If it was a bad event, you were out there a lot. If it wasn't a bad event, you could maybe go 12 hours or 24 hours without going to see what would happen. But adjustments will be made as required to keep the lake level under control. If it was coming up too fast, the gate would be opened a little more. If we were holding our water, we would keep it. If it was going down, we could make adjustments according to that. But they would be made literally every 6 to 12 hours during a significant event that we knew was forecast. The newer guidelines we have now call for the lake to be maintained at +2 to +inches. Correct me if I'm wrong, desired water level range, is that DWLR, is that what it states in the regulations now? And then return there after the storm event. That's what the regulations state that are in place right now for dam guidelines. So after the storm event, it will come back to that +2 to +6 inches. If that desired water level range is to remain, then the lake level will need to be lowered significantly prior to predicted storm events. So for some reason, and I don't have an issue with the desired water level range. If that's where everybody wants it during the summer or whatever, however it is, and that's the new range that we're keeping it at instead of the spillway to +2 inches, then prior to a significant event, somebody needs to make a major adjustment to that water level. Your current guidelines allow that the lake level may be drawn down as much as -6 inches below spillway height up to 2 days before a pending storm, based on the current state of the watershed and predicted rainfall. So not only the rainfall that's forecast, but you also have to understand if we've had 2 or 3 rain events in the week or two before, that the watershed is saturated. May call for more lowering of the lake than typical. Again, those were decisions that were made by the gatekeeper. There was some flexibility allowed for those purposes, but your current regulations state that you can lower it up to -6 inches and up to 2 days in advance if there is a pending huge storm. This is where I believe the current guidelines have not been utilized to their full potential. I don't have any particular problems with your current guidelines, and that's in the guidelines. I just think that with some of the rain that we've had this last fall, we could have been a little more proactive to getting the lake level under control. And I'll get a little bit more into that as we go.
When you say under control, you just mean lower.
Yeah, and I'll get to that, but yes. Based on this year's rain totals and an assessment of the saturated watershed, I believe that the lake level should have been drawn down to some level below spillway height prior to the forecasted significant events of the past month or so. We've had 2 or 3 of them. Even at the recommended opening in your guidelines of 13 inches, it would have taken the allowed 2 days prior to reduce lake level from the DWLR, desired water level range, of +2 to 2.6. So if you were holding it at +2 to 2.6, it would take 2 days in advance, take 3-4 inches a day off the lake to get it down to just below the spillway level to be prepared for a storm that might be coming. Columbia Lake's watershed, you guys know most of this, consists of approximately 2,000 acres that drains directly into Columbia Lake. Columbia Lake is approximately 284 acres that receives all or most of the water from the 2,000-acre watershed, continuing on for several days after each storm event. So it takes 2 or 3 or 4 days for the Adoni Brook to slow down, draining water down into the lake for the storm drains to stop, all your streets and gutters to stop. The water comes in continuously. When the lake is full, held at +2 to +6, and unable to handle the runoff, the water from the 2,000 acres saturates the property immediately surrounding the lake. Your water level in your lakefront property is pretty much at wherever the lake level is. It's 8 inches below your seawall or 6 inches below your seawall. As you hold the lake higher, the lake water level surrounding the lake also increases, especially in a rain event. Many older homes on the lake have suffered never before seen levels of water in their basements due to the higher lake levels maintained over the past month or so. Most docks on the lake are constructed based on the town's recognition of mean high water. That's the term that's used, which is the level of the spillway at the dam, which equates to, when levels of +6 or +8 occur, lots of these docks are being lifted by the higher water levels, and that will certainly create structural issues going forward. Not an issue for me, my dock is concrete, but I have neighbors who I can see their docks coming up with the water, and having issues. Many older seawalls are inundated at the higher levels, flooding yards that are normally dry. Underground septic systems that typically have rain runoff flowing over the top of them during a storm are now completely saturated due to the maintained higher lake and groundwater levels surrounding the lake, creating the potential for outflows to the lake. During September through October 15th, 2022, last year, September through October 15th, when we opened the gate, the lake level was maintained at a level of spillway to -7 inches. That's where, now, that may have just been the event of the weather, there wasn't rain or this or that, or whatever those particular reasons, but that's where it was last year. During the same period this year, water level remained at +2 to +9.5. Except for a single incident on 9.2, where it was lowered to spillway height and then allowed to increase back to +4 inches before the next rain event. That's my concern is just, I think we need to do a little bit better job of being prepared for rain events, because it does have a significant effect on septic systems, basements, docks, lots of things. LMAC was created to advise the Board of Selectmen in regards to the lake, and as it always has, still provides vital information to the town in regards to lake management. Lake level management and lake water quality management are the two most important things that LMAC provides to the Board of Selectmen. Having sat in both positions, I can't stress enough how much the Board of Selectmen truly relies on lake management for guidance on these two issues. My efforts here today is only to bring a little historical perspective to lake level management, and also to bring attention to some things in the current guidelines that could be better utilized to manage lake level, especially in storm events. With the unprecedented rainfalls we have seen this year, I think we can all agree that a second look at the current guidelines, as well as their implementation, may be warranted. Thank you, that's really all I have to say. Just, you have guidelines in place. I'm just not sure that the correlation between who's saying when to open it, close it, how much it opens and closes, is even totally following the guidelines. The newer higher levels that you're maintaining create an issue that was not there before, in that if you're maintaining those higher levels, you may need to take a lot more water off the lake prior to an event. There were some cases where the lake was +12 inches during this last month episode of 2 or 3 rainstorms we had. I received numerous calls from people about flooded basements, and this, don't ask me why, I still get them. People still call me and ask me when I'm gonna put the water back in the lake. And so, you know, it's just one of those things. But my own basement is flooded. I've never been in 33 years in this house. I've been on the lake since 1965. And I can remember 65 to 70 hurricanes and storm events, the water would come over the seawalls, Henry. I was in the blue cottage at your house, or the white cottage, white cottage, the Demont cottage. I can remember the water coming right over the seawalls at times when the dam wasn't necessarily being handled correctly. Historically, since the 70s, it's been managed pretty well. There's been very few events that were not controlled by the gatekeeper or the guidelines that you guys have. So my only point is that you have the guidelines in place. They're there, all the things that are needed are there. You're allowed to take it down 6 inches below if you need to. You're allowed to do it up to 2 days prior to the event. Those are right out of your guidelines. I just think that somehow in lake management has always been kind of somebody on lake management handles discussion with the Board of Selectmen or the town administrator now. I'm not sure who will where, but I just think that maybe we could do a little bit better job with that. So having said that, that's really all I wanted to say. And so you guys would understand where we are and why this year. Yes, this has been rain like nobody's ever seen before, no question about it. Would we still have some flooding and inundation? Certainly. Could it have been handled a little bit better on the lake? Yes, I believe it could have been. And that's my only point, is that we need to be proactive with that. If you're getting 2-3 weeks, we're getting another one Saturday. So if I were a gatekeeper, guess what I would be doing? I'd be lowering that lake right now to 2, 3, 4 inches below the dam level, since we're at the end of the year, okay? Water over the spillway might have some minor benefit for nutrient reduction and only this time of year when the water is mixed. During the whole season, nutrients sit in the bottom meter of Columbia Lake. I mean, I, for almost 20 years, did weekly testing with Henry's father, of the waters in Columbia Lake with our old, limnologist, and I can tell you where the nutrients sit in the bottom. Opening the dam will get rid of a whole lot more nutrients than taking any water over the top of the spillway could possibly do. So just something to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciated.
Do we want to talk about this subject now, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could take a couple of minutes if some people have some feedback. I think it would be helpful to open the floor to some discussion.
I believe that I was probably the person who was the proponent of, the 2 to 6 inch range. And I think we, should put it on our agenda for this winter to, re-examine what we put in place. It was kind of a seat of the pants type thing. It was designed to try to raise the lake level a little bit. I think we've come too far. I think the 6 inches may be proven to be too high. I agree with Chick that the concept was never, at least in my mind, that we were going to sacrosanct, never go below mean high water during the summertime. We certainly didn't, we certainly wanted to try to not be caught getting down to -6 and then have the rainstorm not occur.
Or stop, or get into a drought,
But
which I think where some of this came from.
But being more than 6, and maybe even at this point, more than 4, is just as much problem for our environment and our residents as being -8 is. And so we need to re-examine the topic.
Well, and so thank you, Bob.
Yeah, I agree with Henry. We should re-examine it. Certainly, it was an idea we had, we're trying it. I think now we have to reassess it. To be quite honest with you, I never really thought about the effect of the septic system challenge. Like, that's more critical than having a little bit extra water in the lake in August.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna have failing septic systems, we're gonna have bigger problems than water level in that way.
Right.
So I think we should address it very, very seriously, and maybe go back to what we had or somewhere in between, whatever it was. Let's spend some time thinking about it. But as I said, the last thing on my mind is the effect on septic systems.
Yeah.
That's really critical.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes.
Dam been opened at this time with the expectation of 3 to 5 inches coming in this weekend?
Yes.
Yes, the dam.
3 o'clock was open.
The expectation could be under 1 inch up to 3 inches per the weather 30 minutes ago.
Right,
Depends on who you talk to.
yeah, but
And which,
that seems to be about,
that's the,
Hearing about the weather up there, so.
well,
yeah, but for those of us that are here, it's not 3 to 5 inches of rain,
yeah,
it's right now, we're much less forecasted than that.
Who's, I know the director of public works is the official gatekeeper, but who's on this board, who is? the
It's
person?
David, Mary,
David,
myself,
Mary,
and
okay.
Beth Lund.
Oh,
We gotta
run it through the 4 of us.
okay.
I'd like to ask a question on that, because it had been, Dan, Dave, and myself, and I never knew how I got shunted off of that.
didn't know you were part
Pardon?
of it. I didn't know you were part of it.
So,
Yeah,
So
Dan,
you know what, I gotta be honest
I've
with
got a
you.
lot of historic knowledge that brings some of the art to the science.
Agreed, and, I know we need to do a better job of keeping track of our subcommittees, so.
Right now, it's the 4 of us, and I don't know how you ring her out, but
Would you like to?
I think I was taken out, but I've noticed that I've only been on two or three of the email exchanges and never part of the decision making.
Who, of the four, who decides what's going on, or who corresponds with the?
I think we need to reexamine the subcommittee as
Yes,
well.
as well. That's a good first.
Process.
The
Yeah.
subcommittee, and part of our discussion, and this happened during the 50-year event, when was that, 2 years ago, was
Yeah,
we can't have a committee making decisions. There were true responsibilities. I monitor the weather, Dave monitors the lake, we meet with Beth and Mark.
And usually we have a game plan, a target, but standing at the dam, you can't have a 6-member conference call
no,
and
absolutely.
negotiate.
Yeah.
You kind of have to go there with a goal.
That's one
Yeah,
more.
and it used to be the monitors actually open and close the gate.
Yes.
Mark Coleman, for
Right
example.
now,
used to
it's-
like go back. He
it's
used to
all
open
Dave
it
and
30
Beth
times
that
a
open
month.
The old Dave and Beth are
Right.
ones there.
Beth usually opens it, I usually close it.
Okay.
Okay.
We subscribe to 2 weather,
Which gives us 4.
fax weather and weather
Okay.
underground. And
Stuff.
I'll tell you, I looked at fax weather tonight and weather underground, and one saying we're gonna get 0.7 inches, and the other saying we could get up to 2 or 3 inches, it depends, the American models here, the European. Well, okay, we're 48 hours from the storm.
But the point is, we're past the period of time when the lake is evaporating and we're not losing, we're within weeks of opening the dam anyway.
Are we?
So the concept would be err on the side of being cautious. If this were July and we didn't have a full lake quite yet, and we
Yeah.
were down 1 inch, it might be different decision about making it down 2 inches.
Well, and I think the reality is, the piece that I kind of picked up on is, I think our targets and priorities are different almost by quarter.
In the
Yes,
You
beginning,
know what I mean? So Q1 has a certain target, Q2 has, and I'm just using those as general delineators, but, you know, I think that's something that we can work into maybe a little better about the prioritization of anticipating weather events.
Mike, if I might, just, 0.7 to 3 inches, that means 4 to 12 inches of water in the lake is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
0.7 to 3 means 4 to 12 inches potentially in the lake after 2 or 3 days of rainfall. So if you have 3 inches of rain, you can expect you're gonna get 10 or 12 inches of rise
Correct.
in lake level, which means you need to be prepared to take off 12 inches, which is 3 days of opening the dam at 13 inches in
Yeah.
order to be prepared for 12 inches. The smart thing to do would be prepare for somewhere in the middle. So pick a number, 6 inches, 5, 6 inches, prepare for that ahead of time, the 2 days you have prior, so, you can open it and get it down that far, you're gonna get something, okay? You know what, if you don't get 2 inches, you only get 1, okay, you're a couple inches low on the spillway.
Check right now, our goal is 4 inches below, and we'll reevaluate in the morning.
Where are we today, where's the level today?
it
was
at
at
0.
It's at 0 now.
Okay,
It's at the spillway level.
but just remember, 1 inch of rain is 4 inches in the lake, 3 inches of rain is 12 inches, so it's a lot of water over seawall.
Especially with a saturated.
With the saturation, it's exactly 4 inches, 1 inch is exactly 4 inches of rise with full saturation.
That's correct.
Which is what we
Yep,
have.
yep.
We've had.
But that doesn't take into account the spillway, you gotta make sure that.
Yeah, the spillway hasn't stopped.
When we do 4 inches, it's nothing going over spillway, that's only the outlet. So you gotta take that, I tried to do the math on how many feet per second, 1,000,000 gallons per second.
If we have
I couldn't-
4 over the spillway and we get an inch, it's gonna be 8 over the spillway.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
So that's what I'm saying, 8 inches over the spillway is probably 4 or 5 times the amount coming off the spout. I don't know,
It is, but-
I tried to figure it out,
Even,
you know what I mean?
even with the water going over the spillway,
Yeah.
the water comes up. Granted,
Yeah.
opening the dam at that point is only a little help.
It's actually more helpful than-
Opening the dam
It
is the
rushes.
biggest help in preparing for it as opposed to reacting to it after it happened.
You
Okay,
can take 3 to 4 inches a day off, I'm sorry, Mike, you can take 3 to 4 inches a
Yeah.
day off of the dam. So if you need to get it down 8 inches, you need to open the dam for 2 days prior to a storm event, if that's what you're anticipating.
Originally, I-
4 inches, 1 day would do it.
Originally, I thought, the pipe wasn't gonna take as much off as it does, but
Wow.
when I watched it coming out of the pipe and how much is coming down the spillway, When I'm at 16 inches, it's about even.
The other
So
thing,
it is making it.
we almost never open the dam 13 or 16 inches.
Yeah,
And we would go down a couple days
Yeah.
before, open at 6 inches.
yeah.
Watch,
Well, and
keep checking periodically, see what we're doing. If we needed to open it to 8 to 10 or 12, to get a little more off, we would do that. If we started meeting our goal, we would back it back down to 6 inches. When you open that dam 13 to 16 inches, you flood the hot river.
But there's also a lot of stressor on there's also a lot of stressor on the backside of the dam too, and obviously we want to keep that.
Right.
I think we need to add, this to our open items and, that we would, or actually, you know what, we'll keep it as new business, we'll put it in as new business and we'll address it over the.
One more fact that I'd like to deal with this on in terms of getting new information. Ground saturation, we've talked a lot about, we haven't talked about ground saturation of the dam itself. Which
That's scary.
which makes it undoubtedly weaker, so holding back a foot or more of extra water is also a risk factor.
Yep,
During our agenda, as we look to the winter, maybe we should involve either a dam engineer or lake consultant to help us understand what are we doing to the dam when this happens.
Yeah.
That's
Agreed.
very cool, very good.
I'd like to find out the flow too. I mean, the gate opened 12 inches or 18 inches, and how many feet? I'd like to say there's 6 inches going over the spillway. How many gallons is that? If there's 12 inches, how many gallons is that? So we could see how much goes off the lake.
There's millions.
You don't mind, I'm gonna leave, I promise, my wife, I was not gonna start going to meetings. Thank you very much, okay?
all right, thank you, Terry, appreciate it. All right, great, well, glad you could get that perspective. So we have another audience or citizen here.
Joshua Hoffman,
Hi,
resident of Lake.
hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Do you have any specific question, or would you just like to?
Just here to listen.
Wonderful, well, welcome, thanks for coming. And I know that guy. Is there something in permit review that we're gonna talk about?
I submitted two. Sorry, you have them.
Do we have any, when were they submitted?
They were submitted weeks ago, and the wetlands already reviewed them.
Okay,
I submitted in August, to get on September's agenda, you guys were booked. So it was not even introduced. Site walk was on September 16th, you had two members from LMAC. Jim Santos and Mary Royal at that walkthrough.
What's the address, Jim?
9 Webster and 11 Webster.
I thought one of those was,
Wonderful,
one was withdrawn, wasn't it?
yes.
That was 7, that's not.
Oh. Okay. That's, the only correspondence I saw was that one being, withdrawn.
So,
Because the other ones would go way back. We did the sidewalk, the committee was aware of them and.
So,
we walked to them.
Mary's on the committee, when she comes back in, we can see where.
yeah, let's see if we can get Mary back in here. Jim is here about 9 Webster and 11 Webster permits.
Oh, Jimmy's not here. Okay,
Okay,
we performed, actually 3 site visits, but we've withdrawn 1. I'll make one comment. We do have notes on all 3 site visits. We think they should be held in file in case 7 comes back. And then
Yeah.
we can address that. So I will send those to Phyllis.
okay,
9 Webster is,
Mr. Desiato.
Phil Desiatos, and, the next property is, Mark
Malinowski.
Zarnowski. Both are pretty standard replacements of walls, as is where they are. Wetlands has already approved both walls Monday evening, and, we saw absolutely no issues with those 2 properties.
so,
A motion to accept both permits for 9 and 11.
do we have a second? Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay, so I don't.
I have
Seven.
Jim Blair, 17 Columbia Landing,
Yeah.
Columbia. So, I have good word that the geese are slumming it in Coventry Lake. It was accurate up to today. Oh, they're back here.
They woke me up this morning.
There were 12 on the lake. I was out in the boat all afternoon. We were here.
Maybe somebody
They've seen the show.
wants them back over, I don't know.
Emma Nair wants them out. I can just tell you that. They live on her.
Is it on season right now?
Hmm?
All right,
Thank you.
Jim, good? All set? All right, thank you, Jim. All right, okay, any communications, anything that, Mary, do you wanna bring, I guess we'll talk about, we got stuff water, we'll put it there.
Whatever works.
Yeah, we'll put it there.
Okay.
So obviously permits, any other permits that need any review? Or,
Jen sent one
Uh,
a couple days ago.
there's one for on Route 87. I'm sorry, I don't have my computer tonight, but we would have to do a site visit, and it's gonna be September 14th on wetlands, so I'm just gonna invite myself and Jimmy to go to that one. There is an issue with this because of grandfathering. It's a 28 by, I think, 7-foot dock, and he wants to change that and put a deck on the side. And I believe our guidelines would not allow for that based on the preliminary look I had, so I think we have to bring this to all of LMAC so they understand.
I don't understand where you say the deck on the side.
I mean, the dock is this way,
Yeah.
okay? Now he's proposing at the end of the dock,
We're good.
some sort of a
10 by
floating dock that he can remove. And I looked at it very quickly.
Okay.
Before.
But changing the configuration.
Yeah.
is what you
Oh,
say.
definite change in configuration from what I saw.
Okay.
So I think it has to go
Primarily
in front of
repairing
that.
the cement, primarily wants to repair the cement.
Yes, I guess it's a mess. I
Oh,
haven't seen-
you mean Chase's house?
I have no idea.
David Chase?
Yes, he just sold. Did he just?
David Chase, so they got a big cement pier
Yeah.
that's been like covered with cement, maybe 6 inches thick, and parts are falling off, parts are falling
He
off.
definitely wants to repair the dock, but he
Right.
wants to add a floating
Okay.
piece onto that.
Yeah,
I thought he was talking about pulling that cement dock out and putting a new one in.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
He definitely wants to remove the dock.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty?
In addition to,
yeah, it's a big, it's not as long as some, because
I haven't seen it.
it's a big, it's hard to get around
It's
with.
gonna be interesting. how he-
October
Yeah,
14th
big
is
cracks.
Excuse me?
It'll be interesting to see how he removes that
Yeah,
without going on the lake bed.
it's been,
I don't know.
They kind of explained what they were gonna try to do, they were trying to pull it back.
He may need
How
to
that's-
be reminded about the fact that you can't put.
Well, no, he knows, in the description, it said they were gonna be working their way from the outside in, trying to pick it back.
yeah.
We'll go through
Let's
next.
do the
There's
site
some big
visit.
pieces there.
Jim and I will bring it back. We would love someone else to be with us because Steve Harrington is no longer with us. But it's your call, it's a subcommittee.
Yeah,
It's not David Chase's house, it's the house
Yeah.
next door.
The other thing maybe you could check, I'm not getting copied on these,
Well, never mind.
You know, that permits.
Maybe we'll do the,
maybe,
You're not getting copied on.
no, because I was keeping a track for all time.
Yeah, so the committee is now Mary, Jim Santos, and you, Bob? Bob Miller?
Okay, but Jennifer LaVoy should be sending them to you. because
Yeah.
of the Permit.
When did Jen send that last one? In
are
September?
you Rob K 1013?
Yeah.
iCloud.
Oh, see, it went to iCloud?
Yeah.
Oh, she got the wrong email?
That's who always.
What
September
are-
29th,
So what should you use? Bob?
It's, Rob K 1013 at Gmail.
Rob K 1013 at
I was
Gmail.
wondering why the last three I haven't received anything.
Hopefully they're not going with that other guy.
They are, it was another email.
Rob1013@gmail.com.
That was correct. I get your emails, but I'm not getting Jennifer's.
did you get the general
I,
lake
the
email?
general link for the distribution and the agenda, yes,
Okay,
and Columbia Associates. Like,
okay. Okay,
They're actually in here twice. To the address, the CC and the 2.
Yeah.
With the
Both of them. Well, you got it wrong twice.
This is the one
These are
for one
consistent.
46,87.
Yeah.
But, you know, for,
That's the one.
for
that
a
just-
permit like this, should we be displaying it and having a discussion as a committee?
Well,
Or how you want, how you bring it in?
Wait, the reason we set up the subcommittee is to
Great
accelerate.
Lord, live there.
Agree, approval.
Totally agree.
If it's pretty straightforward, like number 9 and number 11 work, then fine, Webster Lane, then fine.
Right.
As you just noted, this one,
That-
you want
as
to
I
bring,
read it,
you want to bring the whole board. to
Yeah.
discussion.
But you need to do the site review first.
But the subcommittee does site visits, typically we try to do them with wetlands, so we're all together.
Right.
So this
Okay,
one
so
is a new person who's never lived on the lake, so he's probably not familiar with the guidelines.
And I'll bring a copy for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's to be discussed here in this meeting, it'll be presented by the subcommittee.
Yes.
Other than that, it's not gonna be.
If
discussed.
it's an administrative approval
Okay.
meeting, there's no changes.
Got
It's a rebuild of exactly what's there. It's a maintenance of what's there, repairs of what's there.
Okay.
Then that's an
Yeah.
administrative.
9 and
approval.
11 Webster, were very standard,
Yeah,
Yeah,
place the wall, no changes.
Yeah.
7.
7 was,
You've never had a wall,
7?
yeah,
Oh, she had a wall.
it's all big rocks, big boulders.
Yeah, I have, for those of you who don't know, every year we take video of the entire lake to show the changes. And I have video that would demonstrate she had a big wall there and exactly what it was. So that became a hiccup, but she did not withdraw because of that. She withdrew for other reasons. I know. And she told me why, and that's between her and Jim. They can possibly work it out.
okay. All right. Moving along, dam emergency plan. We're all set there, right?
Also, that sounds like we're going back up in the winter as we
Well, that's the emergency plan, the dam.
engineering of the gate and,
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
the gate, we're about to put up this. It'll go up to bid.
So we have a plan, yeah, because one of the things I was concerned about it all that's going up and down is what if we couldn't get it up or get it down again? Now we're to a point where if we couldn't go down, we might be able to figure out something else to do, but not being able to get it up would be difficult. But
so is there like a preliminary plan of how they gonna shut it off and then,
If that's in the plan,
so they're gonna have to drain the water,
they'll do it from inside the structure.
right? Oh my God,
And they're gonna cap off the
outside,
outside.
If it's
put
up
the water up.
Dave,
No, they're gonna block the
if
two.
it's up to bid, then you can go and see what the. Read it up. No, I'm just saying, in depth, I mean, in detail, we're gonna have to explain it to me.
I was wondering if we're gonna have to lower the lid, that was what I was wanting.
No more than we,
No more than normal.
no more than 6
Yeah,
feet.
they're gonna cap it at that. So, yeah. Okay, moving along, water quality, Mary?
Okay, today, first on our Downey Road, from essentially the dike of the beach all the way down into Buell's Cove were, what turned out to be cyanobacteria and pretty large, mass of cyanobacteria. Then Lynn Halloran sent me, and I will send you these pictures, but you see the green? This is in front of Route 87 by DeRozier's and Halloran's. That is cyanobacteria, and that's, yeah, a pretty big mass. Fortunately, Carl, our lake consultant, was 20 minutes away and came out. And he was ready to take samples. He looked at it, he says, there's no need to take samples. This is cyanobacteria. And he has a number of recommendations. I'm not gonna get into them tonight because I think we have to look at options. Although one of his options was, where do you take the water from your dam? Because if you do it on the bottom, you're gonna do a lot better than if it's on the top. And I said, unfortunately, I think we moved it last time we fixed the dam up. Because he said, taking water off from the bottom is an option. But we may be at a point, and I'll tell you, I went out in, all the way over to the dam, the water is full of cyanobacteria, all the way over to 187, in front of the town beach, in front of Webster and Sleepy Hollow into Buell's, and there's cyanobacteria all over. what's happening is the wind is accumulating in these particular spots, so you have issues where we do need to put something out that people should not be swimming and animals should not be in the water.
It was also, I think, the lack of wind. The lack of wind.
Well, it could be
The last 2
lack of
days, because
spillway.
of the fact that it's all on the surface, it's not getting stirred in.
It's not, yeah, he didn't believe, because I speculated, because this, we're into the term, what do you call that?
Yes.
Thank you. And he said, no, he said the temperature is such that that's not the issue. He said, this is very perplexing to me and concerning. He had some opinions. I will let him share that. I asked him to put together options. He's got about 4 or 5 options and to present them in the annual report in December. And we'll have time. Most of the options would require permits.
Okay, so is there anything, any action that, other than recommending that the town
Other than
put
record,
out warnings?
Which we've done.
there's no,
Okay,
there's no other action at this moment in time.
okay,
But if it's like what's in front of Haller's and what's in front of,
yeah, that was nasty,
that was really gross.
yeah.
Don't go in the water.
There, we've also had, waves of green algae blooms, single cellular algae on the surface of the water, and most of it has been due to, the runoff from the storm bringing in, the nutrients. They've been there, and, we may have a thermocline, but it's getting mixed. We're closer to having, stirred up because we've lost our clarity. I'm shocked that he's saying that we aren't bringing bottom waters up.
He wasn't convinced. I'm not gonna speak for him. He'll speak for himself.
Yeah.
Well, when was the last time we took a depth temperature reading?
September 21st, and I don't have that data yet.
Okay, cause that,
2 years ago.
yeah,
I mean, the circumstantial evidence suggests that we're there.
yeah, but it would be good to have the data. to back it up.
The only thing I'd have to say is I went down my slalom course and, I went down about 10 or 12 feet. And I didn't feel any thermal climb at all. It was all one temperature,
It was, okay.
When was that?
about 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, he was, there's some concerns longer term. And we need to start to recognize those concerns. He did show us a chart once that said, if you start going this way, he said, this year's data may say you're starting going this way with the amount of phosphorus that we have in this lake. And we either limit what's coming in or we neutralize what's already there, because we ain't removing it. We've removed so much water. And boom, I go out and, oh my God, look at this.
The bone is the protein.
But could this also be caused by the additional rainfall we've had relative to Chip's comments with regard to water runoff off the
Yeah.
septic systems?
I would say,
Or over septic systems?
I won't speak for Carl, he didn't believe, although I said to him, 14 weekends of 17, we've had rain, Carl. He doesn't believe that, and one of the reasons is because we had cyanobacteria blooms in these same areas last year, the year before. So.
Okay. The green algae that we've seen, I think, is due, and the cloudiness of the water is due to the fact that nutrients have been washed in to the lake with these rains. Because there's plenty of decayed matter, up in the swamps, above Utley that is coming down with plenty of water about. Hopefully it's not coming through the septic system
Well, that's
into the water, because that's still got a ways to filter. And usually if there's a problem there, we have all sorts of calls about people having toilets backed up into their house or washing machines backed up into their house, and we haven't been hearing that. We've just been hearing about water in the basement, so I don't think we have septic issues yet,
Yeah.
but we do have fertilization, this natural, not necessarily man-made fertilizer, but coming into the lake because of the fact
Yeah,
that
the nutrients, yeah.
we've got
Yeah.
decaying matter and
Are you seeing that on Sleepy Hollow?
I've seen, this morning there were waves of green algae drifting, and every time I've gone out rowing, in the last week, I have to wipe off the side of my shell when I come in because there is a dark line right along the water line where, the algae is wound out to the side of the boat.
I won't address it now. I will bring a motion in November. There is a hot spot of filamentous green algae that has been here now for at least 4.5 months, and there is a concern it could be a septic issue, but I'll leave it at that because we can't prove it. But we may want to have someone to have theirs pumped and see that it's
Well,
a septic system that's working.
well, right, because I mean, pumped is one thing,
Yeah,
pumped and inspected
Well,
Yeah.
we
is
can
enough.
also check the water.
Well, that's
well,
true.
yeah,
That's true,
yeah.
because the evidence will be there.
E. coli.
Yeah, I showed it to Carl today and he, again, speculation, we've got to prove it. His first question is, who owns that? Have they ever had their septic system pumped? And I said, frankly, I've never seen it pumped in all years I've been here.
Yeah,
And it's,
but I mean, that can happen
yeah, I know.
anytime.
I know.
So,
But we don't even know what the septic system is.
But we got a
well,
stronger.
fair enough, but,
We got a stronger leg if we tested the water
right,
and find,
evidence.
phosphates there at a higher concentration than we are elsewhere for E. coli.
Eric, can you hear?
Mm-hmm.
The 60. Well, remember, we had this problem going around the lake, septic systems not being pumped, and they did a blue dye test. And they found the culprits.
Yeah. I would recommend a purple dye test for this particular property.
They would recommend it, a blue dye test. Yeah, and it doesn't take long for you to see that it's coming in. You come straight on it.
I've seen it,
But
but not on this lake,
we may not have the clout to do that, that's why we
It's- unless you ask
Right,
nicely.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Norm.
Yeah, we had more cottages on the lake at that time.
Yeah.
And, you know, most of them were honeycombs, you know, so they did.
We're not sure what this is, but we'll find out.
All
So,
right.
yeah.
Anything else on water quality?
No, just, we'll put annual report on for December,
Yeah.
LMAC, so that,
And is there any summary report that he would give us prior to then, or should we just leave it till then?
I
I
believe.
mean, there's nothing we can do on it,
Because he knows the drawdown's coming in a month,
yeah,
and he's not gonna recommend something we do now with the drawdown.
fair enough. All right. Sounds good. Well, I mean, it doesn't sound good, but you know what I mean. Okay, fishing, and, I'm sorry,
Yeah, one last thing I just thought, I'm sorry, I'm slow on this, but, one of the things we've talked about before is trying to get the water off lower. And I think one of the things that we have to keep in our conversation line is the fact that we historically have taken water from a deeper level.
Correct.
And we're looking to just get back to doing that, as opposed to doing something new, which suddenly may put more phosphate downstream. There's a subtle way of, going about doing this, and so I do think we want to talk about.
we're talking about siphon.
And well, whether it's a siphon or anything else, we're talking about restoring, what historically had been the case for over 100 years. That the water was drained from the, 28 feet as opposed to 12 feet.
Yeah.
If we were gonna
Agreed.
do that, wouldn't it be the time to do it when the dam was?
They're separate, they're separate,
And our listenologist has, I
Yeah.
talked to him already, he said he's done a few lakes in Massachusetts with a very simple PVC system, similar to what Cortland suggested, but it's hundreds of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then you put it away in the winter before the ice destroys it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
Yes, it's one of the options. Oh. Mhm.
So right now, they're going to be working at the gate, and that doesn't necessarily they're connected, but it's not part of the same work
Hard to
operation.
lower the pipe unless you lower the lake.
Well. Well,
Oh, yeah.
it's something we can talk about,
Food for thought.
yeah, just something we can talk about.
One quick question, so the quality of the water from the consultant, was it bad enough that we should send out a notice, like?
It's already done.
Yes. It is such that we're not saying it's at the threshold, the threshold is 70,000 something. The last measurement was 48 to 50,000, but it's a large enough patch of stuff that we need to warn people, if you see this, you should not swim.
I just bring it up because I pulled my boat today. And I was there for a half hour or so, and a couple put on their wetsuits and went swimming.
Yeah,
You know, long range swimming, and there was another guy there swimming, you know, it was so nice.
I saw him too, we pulled our boat.
Oh,
Mark, did you say the town sent something out today?
On an email on Facebook.
You, on the cyanide bacteria?
Should we post that on?
We should probably post it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the board.
Doug should post that.
yeah,
And then I'll send it to CLA, if it's on everything, where's that, town Columbia, or everything?
everything Columbia and town, website.
I'll just send it to CLA. Members. That's,
So look at the website, you know, look at it.
okay,
Something like that, maybe need to discuss whether it to be elevated, to be put out on one of those alerts that goes out on the emergency system. Because again, unless, I didn't know it went out, because I don't monitor that on a daily basis.
Well, what I'd like to do, and we're gonna be talking to board of selectmen, I'd like to sign up for a text alert system. They have really good ones now, like I get for emergency, like I get for bridge openings.
Yes.
So you sign up for a text alert. When you use Everbridge, it hits the whole town, everybody loses their minds. My phone rings for 2 days, because no one listens to the message, so they all call back. So literally, it shuts down my office when we use Everbridge. So we usually only use Everbridge for real disasters.
you can't understand what the hell they're saying.
Well, right, then they put our message into a computer and then they messed up Arizona. When we were closing Arizona.
We have no idea what they're.
But anyway, I agree with you. Yeah. We need a better system besides just the email sign up that we have. We really need a text. System.
All right, access, safety and regulations, I see, I'm
I have
sorry,
a motion for fishing.
oh, okay, sorry.
The electrofishing survey is scheduled for November 2nd. The person conducting it from Deep Water Life Biologies has requested that we not start the drawdown until after the electrofishing survey on November 2nd. So I have a motion that LMAC advised the DOS that we not start the lake drawdown this year until the post electrofishing survey on November 2nd. So we either open it that day when they're done or the next day.
All right,
Why?
do we have a second?
Before then?
wait a minute, that'll be, that can come in discussion. We have a motion on the table, do we have a second discussion?
Yeah, why can't they get it done beforehand? I mean, it's not a big deal, but it is 2 days worth of making it more difficult in a short season to get repairs done.
Their schedule is their schedule. That's the day they
I
can.
mean, but I mean, they've had 6 months to do this, and the last time they got
They've had a
it
year.
it's done in the summertime.
They did it. This is their schedule. I asked them that. I called the guy and he said, this is the day we are scheduled to come to court.
Well, but I think as a consumer, we can, I'm not gonna change it this time around, but I think we can say that we're anticipating more cooperation.
Are we a consumer, you mean that we're paying for it, or the state? No, the state.
We can happily say that to them nicely when they come. But we've been waiting 1.5 years to get this damn thing on the schedule. And as soon as I saw it, I emailed them back and said, this isn't gonna work for us.
Well, we don't really lower it that quickly anyway, so we could probably lower it, we don't even know. Or start.
Well, my motion is to advise the Board of Selectmen at the advice of the electrofishing wild biologist that we not take the drawdown until the survey's done. We haven't done one in 20 years, actually. 19, 20 years. So, motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved.
Thursday.
Then Henry, next time,
So
we
they
want
want
to
to
do,
do October second,
I also waiting Saturday, because the fish are in different parts of the lake at that time of year.
I'm sorry.
Than they are in the summertime when we have a dragonfly.
Henry, you can talk to them when they come out, please do.
All right, we got
You're gonna
it.
say
We got
the
it.
third, the lower than the third.
No later than 30, you could open it in the afternoon if they're done in the morning, I don't know if they
Who
do
knows when they're gonna show,
morning or evening,
who knows when they're gonna show up.
yeah. I'll chat with them.
So the only thing I got about that is, the last time it was done, Josh, who was here, her wife, just this past week, was talking about being home alone and hearing people outside her window talking and going back and forth, and she thought men were in her yard. And it was the fishing guys zapping the fish, and she didn't know what was going on, so
Maybe
no
we
one
should
knew
alert.
her. They were very close, there's only
Yeah.
50 feet, 20 feet, whatever it is, and she, all of a sudden, at 6 o'clock in the morning, could hear someone outside her bedroom window.
Perhaps we should alert the
So
CLA.
she was,
We have a
she was upset about it, because Josh was on the road.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving along.
That's last week, you said.
Ripples.
Actually-
Take that to the meeting.
Yeah, and then you use that because they, we hear from all that.
Okay,
That October 17th meeting.
oh, they want LMAC to
To
discuss.
talk about electro, I brought it up and they were very confused.
Okay,
So I
all right,
didn't have enough answers to answer all the questions about
all right.
how the process works.
And when is this, October 17th?
October 17th, 7,
Does Deep have an actual,
they have a write-up.
write-up on
Yeah,
what it
we
is?
do. I'll put something together and get it.
And
Okay,
the select, I missed that, the selectmen wanna know more about it before it happens.
Yeah, they were kind of freaked out. They'd never heard of such a thing. And I said, yeah, that's how they do fish sampling. And they kind of zap them, they count all the fish, and fish them away.
They zap them, they pick them up with a net, put them on a
Stable
and
and
they
nutty,
measure them, and then they
put them back.
put them back, the really ones have like a conveyor.
Right, so I just needed to explain it better,
Okay,
I wasn't prepared. I didn't think they would.
it would be a huge thing, yeah.
It became a bigger
Well,
discussion.
nobody's been around for 20 years.
Right, it's not something you would normally see.
okay, moving along. So access, safety and regulations, we have a report here from the Marine Patrol. Yep. And Mark, do you want to talk through?
Yeah, we're gonna, Brian all couldn't make it tonight, he had a personal commitment. And, so I called Mike early and said, could Brian and Deb come to the next, LMAC meeting in November? And I thought that'd be better than just having Deb and then just having Brian, have them here together.
Sure.
We'll go into some more detail. And also the season will be done by then, final reports will be pulled together. But you can see some of the statistics of activity that they've been doing. And I also have the book that I brought last week. I'll have more detail, but this is the Marine Patrol log and the gate phone logs, both from the phone logs, but printed out. So you can see every day, every bit of detail.
Does anybody have any questions about this report that we could forward to them in anticipation of their visit here next month?
Was that sent
in an email? I'm not sure I got that.
No,
No, it just came
It
today.
just came.
And I think we didn't send that report in the email yet, but I could have sent an email.
So,
Printed in your packets.
Oh,
so I have a question. Is inspection, which says 28 total, the number of boats that were inspected on the lake?
for that
That
month.
month, for that month.
Oh, for that month.
Page.
Okay, thank you.
So it's,
I could
you
read
can
this.
see it
There's a
goes,
March to August page. which you can-
Oh, I got
that's
it.
like a synopsis, and then they're gonna do another synopsis when the year's over.
So how many total All votes on 11.
3 plus 153, 156.
153, okay, I got it,
Plus September,
Okay.
3 in September.
thank you. That sounds more reasonable.
Right, that actually sounds low.
153, yeah, we have a couple,
Historically, I think we've had more.
there are 160 properties on the sold,
Yeah, I think a lot of people have more.
more than one, yeah, so probably over 200.
I think it was close to 200 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
So hopefully we can get ahead of issues that we had this past year with folks coming in, not registering them.
Yeah, I think that's part of the discussion of, do we allow the, marine operators to just come in and run boats without going through the gate? I think that's a mistake. I think they have to all be inspected before they get on the water.
So he'll be here next week?
Yes, next month.
Next month.
I do have one issue, I think this is great, if we can spend a winter, once we get the final one from the patrol, we can look and see if there's any trends that we need to address to help marine patrol with and stuff. One of the things that Mark and I were talking about at the beginning, before the meeting, is I pulled my boat the other day and the assistant rec director came out and opened the gate and went back inside and asked me to close the gate, and I said, okay. And I took my boat out. I thought that we were inspecting boats as they were leaving the lake. But that was one of the requirements when we had the gate.
Excuse me,
I don't remember. I thought we were inspecting boats as they left the lake as well as entering the lake.
I've never heard leading the lake inspection.
Well, they used to do that.
They do a,
What-
certain
what-
lakes will do an inspection to make sure there's no things hanging.
Because you don't want any sort of our lake being,
Right.
some other.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those things we ever did it.
Those go rights.
Wow, I've never heard of that, Bob. I'm
I
not
thought
saying
that-
it's
I
right
thought-
or
I
wrong.
thought that was one of the requirements when we had the gate. We went through this whole thing.
I have to look at the,
I think you have to check, I'm not recalling it, I'm recalling.
That was news to me when Bob.
Yeah,
talked.
I might be mistaken, but I know
We
that,
discussed it.
I know that when, I wasn't charging.
I wanna-
check them all.
Granted, we're taking boats out a lot now, okay? But I was down there on Saturday, the gate was open. I was down there on Sunday and the gate was open. And nobody was there to check if people were actually putting boats in.
Well,
but
And there was a-
did you see the East
up
Haddam
outside.
fire?
Right.
East Haddam fire truck, because that's Brian All's truck and he was in the office. And he
Yeah, he
mounted,
was there Sunday, I was there Sunday.
Yeah,
Gate
he was
shut
there.
when I got
He
there.
comes out if he sees something.
yeah, he's got the
That's
video.
not, that's not what we talked about.
Yeah.
Why can't he sit in an office with a video when he comes right out? This guy's pretty responsible.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not a Nika.
Who's riding around, who's the second person riding around against them? I thought that was the gate person. Who gets called by somebody at the gate.
You can-
Yeah, there's two, one's a gate, mine and one.
Right, right, because that was happening over the weekend.
I don't know.
Anything else on this? Okay,
Is just a question, do they show fines if levies?
They don't.
Like, if there's no fines,
It's not that.
They give warnings,
they get
the
warnings.
state police have to give the fine.
Okay, so
That
everybody,
needs to be discussed. It's
no fines in 2023,
Well, you don't know. You don't take police to.
but it would be listed.
But it would be,
Wouldn't be-
The warnings should be listed.
And I don't think,
patrol could say how many fines were recommended.
and I don't think anywhere.
They're not to that level yet. Okay.
all right, nothing watershed. Okay, stormwater culverts.
No update.
Budget review, how are we doing? Thank you, okay. So we talked about gate repair, update on the message board.
I think Deb could update us on the next meeting. I know she has it. She started to post some things, but putting a cyanobacteria one tomorrow might be.
Okay. Update on Minicucci and Esposito culvert issue,
Sposio.
Esposito, excuse me. Okay,
That's ongoing,
that's,
or not going anywhere.
Yeah, foundation now.
Review of lake ordinances. Where are we at? Okay.
I did send out everyone an updated schedule. Showing, Henry brought it to my attention, that DEP, their review, that was after the board of selectmen goes there. Question I did have though is I wonder if any of these reviews could be concurrent. Mary and I were talking about that.
Simultaneous.
Which one?
Well,
Could we get deep to do a preliminary review, which they'll probably just read and get back to us? The preliminary, like BOS and, you know, town attorney are reviewing that. They may be giving us some input that BOS and the town attorney need to hear.
Right.
So my suggestion was simultaneous
With the D?
number 4 and number 5.
with the preliminary discussion.
No, I don't think we should be talking to deep until the town attorney and the board of selectmen have, weighed in on it. And,
What if we get the first selectman to agree to do a preliminary review of a draft? We're not talking about set in stone ordinances. Our original thought was get some word on the drafts that was in.
Well, wait a minute, so we're talking the first selectman or the board of selectmen?
Well, I
It is the
thought
board.
we could go to the first selectman and just say on a preliminary basis.
Well, I
We
mean,
know it'll have to be reviewed by the board and the
yeah,
attorney.
well, I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be able to give, you know, I mean, he wants to drain the lake. So that's, you know, is he really someone that can, opponent to managing the lake?
I'm strongly opposed to the concept of doing that. I don't want people going to the DEP until it's legally been blessed, because I don't wanna have to fight uphill with the DEP if we change something.
No.
I'd rather have them have the first look at what we want, what we think we can sell, what the board of selectmen are happy with, and, we can, and there's plenty of time for a preliminary discussion with the DEP, we've got there now in December. That we can continue to have that discussion in January where we're talking about revisions.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
Just a thought.
it can be totally ongoing through the whole process, but I wouldn't start it until we have something that the selectmen are saying they're willing to go forward with, and council is saying this is the right way to deal with fines and other things.
So we're,
Thanks.
Okay.
That's-
and I withdraw my suggestion. And I'll put Brian on hold, but if we're gonna do anything, it's gonna be in December.
Okay, and then the other thing, as I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, is Henry's gonna be the liaison between the lake ordinance subcommittee and the town attorney.
Correct.
Once it leaves us, then Henry and the town attorney will do it.
While we're talking about this though, I had a conversation with you, Bob, I think November is gonna be a busy month for us, because we're gonna meet in our November meeting and give our final review and blessing, and it's gonna go to the selectmen. Selectmen have 2 meetings in November. They generally don't take action the first time around. So I think we wanna, and Mark, please jump in on this with your guidance. See, the first selectmen's meeting being more of a presentation and getting them familiar with it, and the second with the hope that we can tell them that we would like them to be thinking about taking action to move forward on this time frame at their second meeting in November. And I think it would behoove us to be at both of those meetings, or have a good contingent of people at both of those meetings.
so what's the, you know, high resolution schedule that we have? You know, what events are really in October and November that we need to anticipate?
Well, our meeting on November 1st will be, when we, by the timeline, we're blessing the
All
final,
3.
versions of the 3 ordinances to say, let's give these to, town council and the selectmen to look at. And let's plan, then the selectmen's meeting, I believe, is the 7th.
No, the 14th, the 7th is
It's election day,
The 14th is, and do they have a second?
21st.
21st.
14th and the 21st are their two dates. Now, that's only, unfortunately, only a week apart, so it doesn't really give them a lot of time for deliberation. But, and maybe we can try to have a separate meeting with the first selectman, before the 14th to get them on board.
An email.
What work, did they know what's going on here, Mark, yet, or is this just off their horizon altogether?
It's not on the horizon. I know I've been keeping Stephen updated as you do revisions. I've been giving them to him for his review. But there's a bigger issue. During this whole time period, we're trying to get a multi-million-dollar project through a town referendum by the end of November. So there's a lot of meetings lined up.
Yeah, what project is that?
That is the state mandate to improve air quality in your school system for air conditioning and air quality. It's gonna be, well, this is typical of the state. It's- Every time there's a grant round, they give us an entire 3 months to prepare one.
So
Would it make sense to address this issue in the October Board of Selectmen meeting to tell them that this is what's
Let me
coming?
just see I'll get my schedule for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to, we need to,
Like the second meeting in October that they have, go in and say, look,
yeah, on the
next,
horizon.
at the next meeting, this is what we're gonna present.
If this comes up the first on November 7th, and they've got all this going on,
October
the eyes are
17th.
gonna glaze over and say, come and talk to us in February.
But the important thing to do is to point out that.
Yeah,
our
no, I
part is to get this done.
So maybe we give them notice October
That's what I'm
17th.
That's what,
that,
Yes, but this is the schedule.
yeah, these issues exist. We want to provide this for you. We would ask
Exactly.
that you help us with this because we need to be ready for next season. They have a happy load. They're not dreaming.
anybody up for election, for the Board of Selectmen?
So basically, we
When
have,
would they go, when
I've
when
never,
does it change? If anybody, there's a couple of people up for re-election.
yeah, there's 2 Democrat positions up and the Republicans are not up.
So when do those people take a seat?
I think right away.
Okay. So if we present something.
And it's the same people that are running, so there shouldn't be a change.
Okay,
It's Judy and Bill that are running.
oh, okay.
But right now, we have to have a meeting by the engineer firm to the HVAC building committee somewhere in early November. And then a tri-board meeting, Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and Board of Ed, November 6th. November 14th, Board of Select meeting to set a referendum. November 14th will also be a town meeting with a presentation by the engineering firm at the town meeting, November 14th. And December 6th, no, and this November 28th will most likely be the referendum.
We're not gonna have, anybody's attention on the 14th.
No, not with a town meeting over a multi-million-dollar proposal.
What if we presented it to them on the October 17th?
wait,
Wait a minute,
are we ready?
October 17th, and what's the next one after the 17th?
We have nothing in October with this project.
No, right, I understand, but what are the Board of Selectmen meetings in October?
Nothing.
They don't meet at all.
Oh, when do they meet October?
Yes.
It will be the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of October.
So it's October
So-
17th.
Okay,
The next one's October 17th.
I will just go on record. I am traveling until October 14th. I told Bob today I cannot do any more work because then I start my full-time job. Which is part-time, but it's good. So I'll do the revisions tonight for the first 2 ordinances, but then somebody else is gonna take that. So to be prepared
Yeah,
for
I
the
can
17th.
update, I can do the.
Okay, are we
So
gonna,
what I'm throwing out is the possibility, can we present to the board on the 17th of October?
I think we can at least present the timeline.
Yeah,
well, wait a minute, the
Timeline's
timeline's, yeah, the timeline's not gonna, you present it to the, you present them this timeline, they're gonna go, that's great, I'll see you in
We got HVAC.
January, yeah, I'll see you in January. Or December at best. So,
Well, I think there's no problem I have, because it's public information. Her working drafts, we can certainly go with them and tell them our concerns and saying, here are the working drafts, here's our timeline. We're wanting you to be able to tell us. We have preliminary discussion with Deep kind of starting in December. And when's the first selectmen's meeting in December? That would be the fifth?
Yeah.
December 5, yeah, so maybe on December 5, they don't have to be approving anything, but hopefully they could be saying, yeah, go ahead and start your conversations with Deep.
Yeah.
And, you know, meanwhile, we can be also talking with the selectmen during December while those conversations are going on with Deep. And,
I'd say getting the selectmen's attention would be better in December, January than October, November. Unless you had at least one of them that you want to review by them in October.
well, yeah,
Whatever
we
you get
could
done.
run it by them in October and saying, here's the working drafts.
Right.
And, you know, we'll get you a more polished working draft during the course of November. It won't be in a meeting, but it'll be for you to digest. But we would like for the December 5 meeting for you to bless us, starting to have a conversation with DEP about possibly making these changes.
I think that's possible.
You know, we're not asking you to approve them, yeah, or to approve them in principle, and we'll continue to discuss them with you in December and January.
And during October and November, the town attorney can be doing his review.
Right, and we can be keeping the selectmen in the loop. I think at this point, we wanna keep them all in the loop so that this doesn't come out as some kind of new surprise.
It'd be good to have it as a line item on the agenda. It is continuous, from meeting to meeting to meeting, and then update it every meeting.
okay, so,
Can we get that line item on the agenda for starting in October, on October?
Board of Selectmen? Yeah, just send me an email saying LMAC would like this on the agenda. To Jen, the town administrator.
so, okay. So we're gonna try to have these to working draft by the 15th. Present to the Board of Selectmen on the 17th as a working draft and schedule. And then expect that the town attorney will review during November.
I think that review will happen very quick.
Okay,
That's not gonna
So-
hold anything up.
so that's November. And that we are expecting, or we want to work to a final draft to present to Deep
After the,
on December 5th.
I think on the 17th, the working draft is more of a leave behind. And what we're doing is kind of introducing, the situation, introducing the rationale, for a change, introducing the timeline for change and the importance for getting together. And then here's our working draft, and leave it behind so that they can start to review it on their own after the meeting. And we're not taking up, meeting time getting into, the nitty gritty of it, because.
Let me ask you a question, right, we've spent 3 meetings now talking about the first 2 sections, right? And we went over the second section twice at the last meeting and at the special meeting we had in the meeting before. Are we done with those first 2 sections?
Well, that was
I mean, what does everyone think? Are we done with it?
From the concept, I think we are, I.
With the exception of fines.
Yeah, I think, well, I think we're even,
No, we did
that,
fine.
we've done things in principle.
200.
I'm sorry.
We all agree from the concept of the principles.
Right.
I thought as a result of our last discussion, and I think that Mary has fairly put in what we discussed.
Okay, so the only section now is section 3, which
Is
is
ordinance 3,
beach part, right?
correct. Henry has given me revisions today, thank you, that I said I would do, and then I'll get this to Bob. Henry, whoever.
There were 2 things that I spotted on what we reviewed the last time that might be considered to be substantive, and I was just trying to merge it together. One was the fact that we talk about that the only exception to the rule are fishermen going out with trolling motors and so forth. But then we have another ordinance in there that says that after sunset and 10 p.m., nobody can operate at Bear Steerage Way. But fishermen are allowed to be out there going 6 miles an hour. And so I was figuring, let's change the one that talks about Bear Steerage Way, that at least say 6 miles per hour, so that it's all coherent. And we could just change that other one to say between sunset and sunrise, no one can operate,
Faster than 6 miles.
faster than 6 miles per hour. And so it all harmonized, so that's,
And that's fine. I think
that's what
good.
I was proposing. And then the other thing was on the fine issue, of, making kind of a legal distinction between, operating violations, which are likely to be one-off situations, versus, serial violations, which are likely to be the wrong boat on the lake, type of thing. And then when you come down to say, and, with the selectmen's guidance after Marine Patrol input, some, operators, and I said, and watercraft as opposed to just operators in watercraft can, be basically, I forgot the words, but their privileges to operate on the lake are gone. I think for an enforceable penalty structure, you need to say for how long. And so I put in my draft to Mary to say for up to 1 year. That was my legislation and that suggestion is more than legal, so we could decide it for up to 6 months. We could decide for the balance of the season.
So does that mean after that time period, I can do it again?
After that time period, they're restored. It's like you lost your driver's license for 90 days. You get to go back and do it again, but you could lose it a second time.
What are the state, how's the state do?
I don't know how the state does.
So
But if you
we
do-
should mirror the state.
Okay, that's a fair
That's a
observation.
good observation, but if you include watercraft, does that mean after 6 months I can bring in a legal watercraft?
No, that's where I made a distinction.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Because I said otherwise authorized boat, because if you're not authorized, you don't even have to wait for the selectmen to do it, you're off the lake, type of thing. But if it's an authorized boat that's,
Right, okay, so I think those are good, and I think everyone would agree with that, so I don't know if we need to discuss it or.
Oh, we can keep it, for now, it's in there, the placeholder is 1 year, but I'll have legal review,
Right.
see what
Right.
the,
Fair.
what the state is.
Yeah.
And so we'll take that up in November, when we give our final.
Okay, what I'm trying to get to,
Just turn off the.
what I'm trying to get to is, can we review section 3 tonight? And say, okay, this is in concept, it's all there, 1, 2, and 3, so that on October 17th, when we go to the board of selectmen, we said, look, we reviewed all 3 of these, here they are, legal has to look at it. But in concept, this is it.
Yeah, exactly, that's
So we do that between now and when we finish tonight.
well, I think the 3 was a little easier to
Yeah,
get.
3's easy.
Yeah.
It's not contentious.
Well,
I
okay,
don't think.
so just start with, it's 8:30, we've been here for an hour and a half, that's normally when we end our meeting. So we're now gonna dive into one of these sections and spend the next hour or two doing this, or
15 minutes.
15
I
minutes.
can't,
I would
we have
say-
another commitment at 10 o'clock.
Well, that's that long. This is the one that deals with, inspections and,
All right, let's go for it. Do we have copies for everybody to look at?
So at the top, it will say, Article 4, conduct at Town Beach.
Before we get to the point, you said the work on the final draft,
Town Beach,
it
it says it
needs to be ready on
like this.
what fifth?
December 5th.
December fifth.
The safety, I don't even know that often.
It's only 3 days.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
It's big.
I think we can get through.
Right, oh, conduct at the town beach,
Right,
under farm, most of it's.
now, conduct from town beach, is that considered an ordinance? I mean, that's
The part that has been
the law, I mean, disorderly conduct, I mean, you know, where does this fall into? You know what I mean?
Well, it includes the gate.
Yeah, it's the gate and the boat launch, so that's why it's part of us.
Article, okay, that's not.
So the first one to talk about, obviously glass containers is in here, but doesn't, it's not our purview, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
The next one would be 190-18, one in a watercraft,
there you go.
chemical inspection.
Yeah, I've made, a few legal comments, or not sufficient to talk about.
Where we, under boat launch or inspection procedure.
Inspection procedure.
No, it's a procedure.
So the state requires that too, so that's kind of doubling it up.
It doesn't require inspections, it requires certain things to be on your boat.
Right, so,
Required.
so the state is
That's
not
what
got
state
that
means.
in their book,
Yes,
so we have to follow that too.
we can be stricter if we want.
Henry, did you give me these changes in blue? I have changes in blue already.
Yes, I think you did.
Yeah,
General implementation and enforcement of this section, if the same may be amended from time to time. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I don't know. That kind of different now.
I'm not sure, I said new sentence, clarify, but I don't know whether those were blue. I don't think the blue was mine, because I didn't put in the 208.
Okay, I don't know.
My comments on this were, rather than say such procedures, to say inspection procedures shall be as established by the Board of Selectmen regarding the inspection of the watercraft for non-native aquatic species required by CT boat regulation.
Vessel safety items.
Yeah, vessel safety, is that out of the state? I wanted
This
to
is
change
right out of
vessel
the
to watercraft.
No, they say vessels, we say watercraft.
And rather than say, and that the vessel meets, I say, and satisfying all approved town ordinances, provisions, I don't know why we have to say approved, say, and satisfying all town ordinances, relating to watercraft.
Okay.
Versus this.
I don't know if we have to say, and the general implementation and enforcement of this section, we can just say, you've got to meet the Connecticut standards and, the town ordinances relating to watercraft.
So change that blue to meet Connecticut.
It would read requires Connecticut boating regulations, vessel safety items, and satisfying all town ordinances
Okay,
relating to watercraft,
period.
period. And we don't need to say as the same may be amended from time to time. Go for it. And then the inspection procedure will be published on the website.
Got it.
And the 180. Some of these things I'm concerned about. We've got definitions in some places and not in others, and we ought to, I mean, this can be part of the legal review of whether we tighten them up or.
Just make them all the same.
They have to be the same.
Yeah.
Example, when we get down to the definition of watercraft here, the watercraft has gotta be conforming with what the other was. We can say, in addition, for this, for purposes of this article, the trailer is considered the water, part of the watercraft, you know,
Okay.
so, you know.
Do we need 280 acre lake? Because it's not 280, it's 284.
281. Yeah.
Why are we putting that in?
I think what we're trying to explain in each ordinance is to say, this lake is this size, therefore some of these sections are relative versus a 5,400 lake that allows certain.
Okay, so you wanna do 281, whatever it is,
Size.
281.
There's so many different ones. They used to count the acreage behind the road too, they don't anymore.
Because they counted the acreage behind the road.
Behind the dike, used to be, you know, open, we used to kayak back there, now it's all filled in. So I don't know if that considers part of the 280. I hear somebody say 270 something.
Our town conservation and development plans is 281. The history
The
was.
state says 281, so
Yeah.
let's say 281.
So let's just.
281.
Henry, I'll change the definition of watercraft to be from, but he had trailer.
Be the one we use, but to say for purposes of this,
Got
Includes the trailer.
you know, Article 5 includes trailers.
it, includes, it says any motor vehicle or trailer or equipment used to transport.
Yes, yeah, okay.
Got it.
And then, C, inspection of watercraft required on and after the effective date of this article, no person shall launch. I'd like to emphasize, at any location, any watercraft into the lake. This is not just applicable at the beach. This is applicable at everybody's personal residence.
So where's
It's
it?
applicable on Tony Road, it's applicable at the church camp, you know. in watercraft.
Second page.
Got it.
And C.
I got it. C, okay, I got it.
Yeah,
Can we do that?
I don't think so.
Can we do that, Henry?
pardon?
Can we do that? Can you limit my ability to put something off of my property under the lake?
Yes, that was the whole concept when we did this. I think I'm stating the obvious. We talked about, and I remember writing an article for the Lake newsletter about the fact that the homeowners were supposed to be doing that, and we talked about it at the town meeting, that this wasn't just something that was gonna be hitting town residents at the boat launch. This was everybody in terms of all boats at the lake. The launch was the place where we could put up a gate. Okay.
So do all town residents need to have the training to do that?
All, yes.
Please be educated.
And we did do some original education with, at a lake association meeting. I think it needs to be, you know, probably revisited or, you know, reminded about, but people do it. I had, you know, 4 people come over with kayaks one weekend at my house, and I said, I've got to be here half an hour before the event, because I'm looking for all your boats. We have a regulation in town and so forth. That's what, you know, the people doing.
Should that be in here?
So Henry, I gotta go back to the 87 time we tried to change the ordinance and this is what they wrote. Said the agency in accordance with section 15157 of the Connecticut General Statutes does not recognize any ordinance or part thereof that limits lake use to residents or voting taxpayers and imposes a system of registration and identification.
Well, we're not,
So they're gonna fall back on that.
no, we're not doing,
That tells me if you're in the lake, they can't ask you.
well, first of all, the state has already approved everything here in black, because we
Right.
took this to them.
This isn't from them, right? This is what they disapproved.
No, this is what they approved when we did this in 2017.
Yes,
These has already
this has
approved
been
this.
approved by DEP.
So we're not changing it, we're just modifying it to say any location.
Which is what the intent was,
Okay.
initially. And then we have one watercraft launched from the boat launch during one of the time periods shall be inspected at the boat launch. I don't know that we have to say for the presence of non-native aquatics.
Or safety issues or anything.
Yeah, that's right, be
Just
inspected,
inspected,
yeah.
right,
All right, get rid of the other stuff, got it.
yeah.
But
This is
that's
under-
why, that's what the inspection's all about, is the non-native species.
Well, but we're also doing boating inspections for registration.
Yeah.
And whether you got a throwable life preserver, and whether you got a paddle, and whether you got a fire. Yeah,
It's in here enough. We
Yeah.
say, if we discover non-native, you gotta take it off, blah, blah, blah.
So
It's only for registered boats.
So everything in red comes out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually before that, it said boat launch period, for the presence of non-native, that comes out.
Oh, I see.
and I didn't like the concept entitled, so a person otherwise having the privilege to use the boat launch to launch a watercraft shall have access to the boat launch for such purpose at all other times.
Do we need any of this?
Pardon?
Do we need any of that, Lou?
I don't remember, where did this come
I
from?
mean, that's, yeah, where'd that come from?
I don't know
Oh, it's the
what's
gate.
changed.
Is this the gate key thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd take that out. Let's just leave it the way it is.
Yeah, pursuant to the inspection,
Procedures.
why cloud it with any of the?
Yeah,
Take
Okay,
that
I'll move
blue
this
out.
out. That's easy.
So
okay,
again, when it says watercraft launch, so the trailer is included in this, correct?
right, correct.
All right,
And then, so then under two, well, any person otherwise, I'm gonna take out as the title, say privilege to launch a watercraft onto the lake. Well, I said this is repetitive of the prior page, but this is where we can, this is where it deals with any other, from any location other than the boat launch shall only launch special watercraft after making a self-inspection.
well, I think we need to keep that in.
Yeah,
Yes, no, we do, and I just didn't like the, entitled.
Entitled to privilege.
Why
Nothing
why
else.
don't we say allowed?
yes.
Okay.
Allowed sounds a little less, restricted than privileged,
Classification.
but, it takes it away from entitlement a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
allowed.
Got it.
Okay,
And then, we're on to three, the cleaning needs to be done outside of the watershed. And I think our guidelines and so forth suggest that, and here we're saying if non-native are discovered on a watercraft during any inspection, yes, they advise that the watercraft cannot be launched. The watercraft must be removed from the launch area and clean, drain and dry procedure to be applied to kill the invasive species before returning for another inspection.
If
That
I
can be
live
done- that
in
can
a
be-
waterhed, you're telling me I can't clean it in my driveway?
No.
Well, I think,
I'm not, I'm just saying, is that,
well, the point is in here, and I mean, watershed, ideally out of the watershed, but what it means is you don't just take it up to the beach parking lot.
yeah,
well, that are right at the boat launch.
well, yeah, but there's,
It's too washed, it can be too easily washed in. It's got-
So that goes back to what Bob was saying about cleaning the boat on the way out and checking it, because if you're going to another body of water, say you're going to, say, that's how it is in New Hampshire, you have the inspection on the way out, so that if you go to another lake, you don't infest that.
okay,
That's-
so,
So that's a little bit.
So specific to this, do we wanna put anything about clean drain dry procedures? The procedures is, correct me if I'm wrong, a 5-day procedure,
Yeah,
so,
it's not gonna happen.
yeah.
That's what I got.
But why back off, wait, why back away?
You ain't say the water, you say they cannot launch the watercraft for 5 days.
Well,
Okay,
do you wanna just say isn't there a state regulation on this?
I don't know if it's state, I think it's
We don't,
advised. I
So
have,
I can't take the boat back, I can't take the boat somewhere and clean it and then bring it back and launch it.
well, we should have a specific time, because to clean, drain, and dry is
So many
a
days.
5-day procedure.
Where,
Yeah, but they,
Where-
if you treat with bleach or something, you can go back in, right?
But if
I don't think so.
aren't we relying on another body for reference that we could, you know,
but we
then-
need to.
that we can then utilize here so that, you know, as that, is it deep, is it whoever, you know, so that as things evolve, this evolves with it.
I think it's part of
Just,
what they have to read to get trained to get a key or something like that.
Clean, drain, dry is US Fish and Wildlife.
okay, per US Fish and Wildlife, recommendations, or is that,
And so I mean, if the guy shows up, the trailer has some weeds on it.
Yeah.
It's clean.
Get it out.
We're telling him he can't come back in 5 days.
yeah, but I mean,
Seems severe.
well, but, so is invasive species in our lake, and, you know, the issue here, or what I'm trying to get across is that we're not just making this up,
Yeah,
right? And what we're doing is we are relying on a federal, sounds like a federal,
US.
US, you know, a federal body for the recommendations or the regulations, whatever they are, but what it does is it takes
Takes
us
it off us.
off, yes, thank
Right,
you.
and what it also.
Right.
Because Mike Nazar said 5 days.
Because, right, because I'm bad cop all the time, just so I, now that that's on record.
So what that means is.
To the extent
Yeah,
that.
come on, you drive it, crap stuff on your trailer, and then you have a.
Well, that's it, to the extent it's draconian, it just teaches people, inspect your boat before you pull out of your driveway. And
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's embedding the message
All right,
that
most of
people
the
are gonna launch, when you're gonna present your boat to be inspected. Have the trailer clean and have the boat clean and nothing hanging
Well,
on
they
it.
ask you if you put at the boat ramp, if you're launching, has your boat been in any other lake in the last 5 days? Yeah, I thought it was 2 weeks, I don't know.
well, they should ask that and say, have you cleaned your boat? You know, they can be asking
Yeah,
these
okay, but that's not.
effective questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or have you,
Yeah, well, that's all part of the education
Yeah, yeah.
of marine patrol.
have you sanitized your boat?
Yeah, Noreen has a comment?
All right, so we got 3 resolved in that.
So we'll wordsmith
Yeah,
this.
and then on D, marine.
Wait, Noreen had a,
Marine,
Go ahead, Maureen.
In that comment, like Naza stated, in regards to the regulations. And the reason I do is because they will only tighten their regulations, and then that does not mean we have to go back in and continue to change if we make it something that we think.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
Because the Department of Fish and Wildlife is only going to tighten it up.
this stuff is getting more staff. Did anybody see the Hartford Current front page hydrilla 2-page article this Sunday? It's scared on the Connecticut River, scared.
What is it?
Hydrilla, it's an invasive plant.
Invasive species.
Yeah.
It is so new and such a different species, it's never been seen in the world before, and they don't know how to do it.
I think it's coming.
Which is, again, to only reinforce the Connecticut River is not that far away,
Thank
and why take a chance?
I take my boat on the Connecticut River once a year.
Yeah.
Stop, go up
I
and
think
down.
it's suggested
I go
by-
once a week and that's hydrilla is there, but it's not choking things up, it's there.
Yeah.
You gotta go in the shallow spots to see it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's change
there.
of vision.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes before,
Okay,
Yes.
anything else?
Mary
The rest is
flies window.
The rest is flat.
If we go to D,
Yeah.
police should be changed to patrol.
Say again,
D, police should be changed to patrol, towns marine patrol.
well, if we do that, we have to change that because in the other ordinance, it says police.
Well,
Then it should be patrol.
it needs to be patrol.
So all, because,
All police equals patrol.
We've always called them marine police.
No, I think we had patrol everywhere. I'm surprised it's not a place for police, but it needs to be patrol. It can be patrol.
okay, got it.
Okay,
All the rest looks black to me.
Moving right along.
Henry, you wrote this in 17. don't you?
Right.
All right,
Okay, so we have,
The fine is back on that page again, so.
I did wanna question something here though. It says, 190-19, the last sentence, vehicles are not allowed to park or stand in the launch area for longer than it takes to launch a boat. And that's not happening.
you know, that's a enforcement issue, not an ordinance.
Okay, we don't wanna change it.
No, not at all, because people, no, you try to launch.
Where's that?
Down the bottom.
190-19 last time.
You can't park there for half an hour, while other people want to.
I
Why
also,
can't people park there all day?
I know.
All right,
So you're talking as a boat ramp itself physically on the boat ramp?
you guys, we've got 3 minutes, we got 3 minutes, so, and 119 or 190-20, are we doing anything with this? It says,
you know, that's
a town.
been there before, so that doesn't have anything to do with.
the editor's note just goes away.
Penalties and offenses, I would say,
Per,
for 200.
or per the other penalties, right?
So.
I know, because.
Aren't we repeating all the penalty sections that we did at the end of each one?
What we should do, yes, what, not 190-21 should read just like the other. sections.
Right.
I'm going, can we go back to 190-20? Cause I'm not sure it should say the beach, but it should say what the town allows. Because I think the town may allow alcohol at Rec Park if you're having a party or something.
Well,
But this is under the same pretense, that they're building some little thing here. I'm not, I don't know, I'm just asking.
I think it's a liability issue. I'm
Right, I know.
I'm very surprised that the town.
What, 190-20 deals with the town beach, it doesn't deal with the lake.
Right,
It's not our purview, it was here ahead of time, it's just.
Yeah.
Part of this.
so what I'm saying is.
this editor's note goes away.
Pardon?
The editor's note goes away.
Number one.
Yeah, I don't know what the editor's note is.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of
included in
moved.
the ordinance. Do we have, I don't know.
It's already black, leave it the way it is.
Yeah.
It was part of the original ordinance into which the inspection procedures were inserted. So.
So all I'm saying is now the town.
Mary's out.
May let
Any
people
last
use it at
questions
the rec
for
park,
Mary?
and they may actually come and say.
Mary, is there anywhere where you're going?
That's for the town's.
That's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, we should say that the town, that we're gonna follow the town.
Basketball rules.
These are the town.
Rock on.
Yeah, all right.
How do we present it?
I'm not gonna
See, I'm not sure if they met, they covered each other.
Well,
Thanks, man.
What's that?
thank you.
Henry, I'll do the revisions and send them to you and Bob, and Bob.
What's the method we communicate to the board of selectmen? Do they just give them a draft marked up with red and black print, or do we do a side by side showing what's new and what's changed and what's not? How do we
For legal.
How do we gonna communicate the message to them while they're here?
For legal review, do you have a Word document that's just all in black?
That's easy enough to do.
Yes, if I get a Word document that's in black, I can take the original and I can have my office generate the comparison, so it'll show it's changed, it's being marked out, what's new is being underlined and so forth, so that the selectmen can see
Yes.
can see it and the preliminary notes on there that are designed for us can go away.
Yeah, I don't think we should have any red or blue or anything.
Right,
Because
it's just
all of a sudden-
completely as a comparison.
It'll be a comparison
Yeah.
to, from the current to.
Right.
Mary's putting together as draft 5 or whatever it is, we're.
Yeah,
Would you work something?
let's do that.
Okay, so are you available on 17th of October to present?
No, I'm in California.
The other thing we could do too is just one page summarize all the changes.
Yeah, I think, that, Bob, I think that the short, the
Yeah.
discussion on the
Okay.
17th is just, again, an overview.
Status report of what we've been doing and.
When I
Yes,
get back, when I can sit down that weekend and work out what we should
Yeah.
present.
Okay, the reason we need to do this, the Marine Patrol needs some teeth. We have some issues, we need to update it, there's a lot happening, there's a lot that's been going on in other lakes. And what we're trying to do is bring things forward so that we have a clear and comprehensive set of ordinances for the town, whatever, you spin it that way and say, here's our work draft. It's very important, we feel, that this get in place before, the next season, before, yeah, before it gets away from us.
Right, so we present
On the 17th.
the why are we doing this?
Yes.
Right, we present the comparison to the current and the schedule.
Right, and the comparison is kind of like, as I said, the leave behind, you don't go walk them through it because then they're gonna get into the nitty gritty.
But do you tell the story when you say why, it's become a Wild West show on the lake?
I think.
Well, there's.
When were they last time? When were they last time? 2000 when? When were they last revised?
1987.
Okay, so that's the beginning of the line.
Yeah, that's what the ordinance is. It's very one day.
And
Yeah, I have,
we have new things coming along all the time. A couple years ago, they were those, power packs and now they're.
The fly fish thing.
Fly fishing, and so we just have to be,
32-foot boat.
ahead of it all is what we're trying to.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe our theme could be enforcement. Overall.
Well, and the fact that we're a 280-acre lake and not Candlewood, so.
Could someone write up a why as a
that-
subcommittee, so we can be unified?
Mike, can you be at that meeting or something?
I'm just looking at my schedule. What?
I'm on the airplane, I might do the walk with a nice Bloody Mary in front of
That's
it.
what I'm talking about. I'm Bloody Mary.
I might not be available that night, but
That Y might look a little fuzzy.
That's all right.
I am gonna be,
Yes, I will be at that meeting,
Okay.
but I need reinforcements.
I'll be at the meeting, but I won't be able to speak.
I'll be there. Henry, you can't be?
No, I'm in California.
Oh.
And what time is the board of selectmen meeting?
We need to make
I think that-
sure Mark puts it on the agenda.
The key thing for them to get that night is the why
Yes,
and, the timeline.
the timeline, yeah,
And.
we're gonna
then-
finish with the
and-
timeline.
And then they can go, and here's the draft to peruse, we'd love your input. Not tonight, we'd love your input.
Right.
Yeah,
We'll be back.
I'm wondering if the rationale should be just 3 or 4 bullets and not a lengthy sentence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The why, the why is a
Just a
simple.
simple rationale.
Yeah, we're not gonna waste their time or ours getting into.
No,
what
the
they
bullets
think.
can be a leading.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
they're.
Yeah, they could be the cover page, they could be the cover page to the
You're gonna
comparison.
write the things down in a shortcut, like, no 20 or 26-foot bolts is one.
And we have to
It's
do
quick
it
as that.
tonight.
Yeah, well, I don't even think we talk about 26-foot boats that
Why?
night. With a why and.
Here's the comparison and here's the schedule.
And we have to be united that this is a unanimous LMAC, because I've already gotten feedback, if it ain't unanimous from LMAC, there could be
Yeah.
issues.
Okay,
That's why we all
Consent
agree
agreement.
and reach consensus.
So on the next agenda, I wanna ask you about something.
Thank you, goodbye.
Make it quick, the weeds we're getting in the lake. We may have those weeds because we're letting the drawdown come back up more quickly. I don't need to discuss it tonight, but I wanna see if that's something we should look into.
Are they
Maybe even go to 7 feet this year to see if it gets rid of them for next year.
It won't, and you face, I've already had this discussion with our lake consultant, he'll tell you in December. You face the possibility of it growing beyond.
Right, that's what I wanted to know, because maybe by exposing the shoreline, we have.
Yeah, and the seeds
a
that
terrestrial
spread,
grass that grows, it becomes.
and then if people start to try to take it out,
All right,
it's gonna grow back roots.
okay,
That was something I wanted to bring up.
Thank you. motion to, we have a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second,
Thank
all right.
Bye, everybody.
All in favor, aye, thanks. These